situation, we don't have to worry. Our domestic data points have been positive.
Yeah.
Short to medium term, because of rising crude oil prices, there might be a little bit of bump up in the inflation. That also we need to watch. But overall, I think these are the markets which give opportunity for long-term investors.
All right. I want to pick up on two things you mentioned, Gaurang. First, of course, is the choppiness and the correction, and we are seeing that on the screen as you spoke. In fact, Sensex and Nifty have corrected and have slipped into the red territory. But I think more importantly, the concerns about inflation. Now, is our understanding correct that inflation will creep into the Indian economy only if the petrol pump prices change, and the government right now is pretty clear that any change, any disruption will not be passed on to the consumer as far as at least retail prices of petrol and diesel go?
So somebody will have to bear it, right, Karthik?
Right.
Because the fact of the matter is, from $65 or $70 a barrel, Brent has moved up
about
to
85, yeah.
And then it has come down. So somebody has to pay a price for it. So if it's not going to be you and me,
yeah,
the government will have to step in and, do some kind of calculations to incentivize or cushion the negative impact for the oil marketing companies.
Right. So it's a balancing act of the government trying to manage current account deficit, which is likely to balloon. And then if the prices are not passed on, then the sort of double-edged sword of current account and fiscal deficit creep in.
Exactly. That's what I was trying to get in, Karthik. Right. So I think we need to wait and watch. But let me say this, Karthik.
Yeah.
Crude oil prices have jumped to $110, $115, and again they have come back. And according to my knowledge, my understanding, and my calculation, if crude oil stays above $90 a barrel on Brent and maybe $85 a barrel on Brent for a prolonged period of time, that is 3 months, 6 months and beyond, then the seriousness of negativity starts affecting the twin account, as well as the inflation, as well as interest rate calculation, etc. Again, GDP and slowdown, etc.
Right.
If the crude oil prices fluctuate like this for 2-3 days, it does not have any durable long-term impact.
That's right.
Because we have a long-term contract.
Absolutely.
So we need to understand this arithmetic and calculation.
Right. Okay, fair enough. I also want to understand, why is it that India is lagging behind when it comes to the reaction of other Asian peers to all the developments in West Asia? So look at Asian markets. I think last 2 sessions they've continued to rise in a far higher degree than the kind of flatness or the gap up that we've seen in the Indian market. What is working in favor of, let's say, Japan and South Korea right now, where India tends to lose out? Is it just the dependence on oil passing through the Strait of Hormuz, or is there more to this story?
No, and more to it is the dependency of oil, because we almost 75-80% we are dependent, Karthik, on our imports.
Yeah.
Crude oil, CNG, LPG, etc. That's not the case with the countries that you mentioned, like Japan, etc.
Right.
The second problem is our crude FI friends have been relentless sellers, and some part of that selling which has happened in India goes into some of the other Asia Pacific countries like Japan, like Korea, like China, maybe some other country, Indonesia, Malaysia, etc., etc., etc. And the pain point of this FI flows, according to me, I don't know if I'm right or wrong in this, Karthik, is because of the uncertainty that lies between India and US as far as the trade agreement is concerned. And of course, the flip-flop that has been happening. But what I'm trying to say is that despite of FI selling, despite of all this, last year we managed to make a new all-time high on Sensex and Nifty, and then we've retraced or pulled back close to about 10%. Correct me if I'm wrong, Karthik. So I think this correction is a great opportunity for investors to nibble into stocks. I'm not saying go and put all your money at one time, but start nibbling.
Stop nibbling. And and that is in fact, the correction that is also visible on the Nifty 50 heat map this morning. A lot of sectors offering potentially that buying opportunity when you look at stocks of consumer durables like Maruti Suzuki, M&M, even Bharti Airtel. All these stocks seem to be under some pressure this morning. But I really want to come to stocks in news this morning, and a lot of action there, Gaurang. So, we'll start with your disclaimer, but I want to first talk about Reliance Industries, which the US president is claiming is likely to invest in that $300 billion US refinery in Texas. Now, we are yet to sort of hear directly from Reliance Industries on what that quantum of investment will be. But markets and in fact investors not as bullish on this latest investment as one should have expected, because Reliance stock is up just about 0.8% or so this morning. What do you make of the statement coming from the US president?
So, firstly, a standard disclosure which I forgot to give.
No,
Apologies.
I'm
That all
coming to the stocks now,
recommendations,
so I reminded you.
all recommendations are a part of our fundamental research team recommendations from a long-term point of view. Our company, Jyojit or myself, we do not have any kind of personal investments, no financial interest, no conflict of interest. But we give advice, share advice, similar investment ideas with our clients. They might have their investment over there. And thank you, Karthik, for reminding me. Otherwise, I would have been pulled up by my compliance team. On Reliance Industries, we've been maintaining a positive stance.
Right.
Unfortunately, some part of the business or large part of the business of Reliance is exploration, oil, gas exploration and marketing as well, because Reliance is into both the part of the world. And because of this fluctuation, etc., we've seen a little bit pressure. But the news of Texas refinery, one of the things, Karthik, we have to understand is that the refining technology in Jamnagar that Reliance has is of the highest level. They can refine cheapest of crude, which has got high density and sulfur content. And that's why the margins and etc. are the way they have been reporting.
Okay.
And I think the problem with US is also because a lot of oil that is found in US is of high density and high sulfur content. I think possibly this is one of the reasons why Reliance has been picked up by the US Trump administration for this refinery in Texas. Knee-jerk reaction because these are initial statements, like you rightly mentioned. Company Reliance has not come out with any kind of statement. It is President Trump who has the habit of making forward-looking statements.
Absolutely. Okay, you are talking about the complexity, and there's something I picked up called the Nelson Complexity Index, and reportedly Reliance, the Jamnagar refinery of Reliance operates at this Nelson Complexity Index of more than 20, and some experts, at least on social media, are pointing out that perhaps that complexity is needed to process and refine the Venezuelan oil. Is there any merit in that argument or that hypothesis?
No, there is a little bit of merit, but
Okay.
Venezuela oil and that theory I'm not too aware about.
Okay.
Whether so I would not go into that.
All right, fair enough. Let's move on now. Peter Elbers has resigned, and his resignation as CEO of Indigo comes 3 months after the FDTL rules were pretty much violated and the airlines suffered major consequences, flight cancellations, disruptions. I think we all remember what happened in the first week of December. But again, the stock is reacting quite favorably to this development of Peter Elbers resigning. In fact, Indigo stock is up about 2.8% in trade. This despite higher ATF costs, disruptions in West Asia and overall flight routes impacted. What do you make of this development?
I wonder what took 3 months for Peter Elbers to resign, Karthik.
DGC investigations, perhaps?
He should have taken the moral responsibility. Why wait for investigation?
Okay, okay.
I mean, take it as a moral responsibility. You were at the helm of all this confusion, chaos, and the pain and the suffering that passengers of all age group had to suffer. 3 months is a little bit more time for you to react and take responsibility. Come on. I mean, you put a black mark not only on yourself, but you put the entire aviation sector and the credibility of interglobe aviation in a spot and in a fix. You should have owned up a long time back. Having said that, we've been positive on interglobe for many, many years. We continue to remain positive, and I hope that the management is able to replace Elbers with some other gentleman who has got wisdom and fine sense of judgment in terms of taking the business to the next level.
All right. But this sort of change of guard at the topmost position, the corner office of Indigo, not rattling investors about continuity issues at all. The stock is up about 3%. So is it corporate governance, and is it the fact that that Elbers is out that investors are rejoicing? Or do you think in general the sentiment is a little positive with the opening up of some routes in West Asia?
No, I think it is because of Elbers going.
Okay.
Point number one. Point number two, aviation sector is vulnerable to two parts. Airspace being closed, and the second is aviation turbine fuel prices going up.
All right.
The second part, aviation turbine fuel ATF prices going up, gets passed on to the consumers unless and until the Ministry of Aviation steps in case if there is a large escalation in ticket prices. And of course, known fact is that Interglobe happens to be one of the largest carriers in India, has got the largest fleet in terms of aircrafts. And I think airports, opening up new airports, Jewar in North India, will open up more connectivity. Last year we had Navi Mumbai airport opening up, Karthik. That also happened to be a great opportunity. And likewise, I think if you have regional connectivity improving and new airports coming up, then I think Interglobe is in the advanced stage to take advantage of that particular situation. And of course, stability with geopolitical news also plays a very vital role in soothing sentiments for the aviation sector stocks.
Right. Okay. And finally, I also want to talk to you about Indian, the gas brand of Indian Oil, because LPG shortage is continuing to mar hotels, restaurants, small businesses across the country. Reports coming from all parts of India about shortage and potentially shutdown of businesses, small businesses. What does this really mean for Indian Oil? What does it mean for oil marketing companies in general? Because HPCL, BPCL also, one would note that there is no, in fact, the government has said that the retail price of petrol, diesel is not going to increase. But like you mentioned, with elevated crude prices, margins are likely to remain squeezed.
Priority sectors need to be given priority, Karthik. Consumers, as well as certain sectors which are very, very crucial and important for the ball to roll, needs to be given priority in this kind of situation. And more importantly, I think 3 ministers have gone on record. Honorable Mr. Puri, Honorable Finance Minister, and Honorable Union Minister Mr. Piyush Goyal. And there have been number of meetings that have been held with the center being the Prime Minister and other crucial ministers with respect to the securing the energy requirement for our country. And I was reading a report, 40 plus countries have been tapped by Indian government to ensure continuity of crude oil as well as CNG, LPG. Short-term price, if any one particular sector like hotels, if they have to pay a small price, you need to pay for it, right? Because you need priority sectors to continue and you need consumers to be the top priority. So I don't think anybody needs to complain on this.
All right. Well, let's leave it at that this morning. Gaurang Shah, as always, pleasure speaking to you this morning and all the insights that you shared with our viewers. Thank you so much. Well, we will slip into another short break, but before that, a quick look at some of the global stories we're tracking for you this morning. The United States launches a major assault on Iranian mine-laying vessels near the Strait of Hormuz, with President Donald Trump claiming 10 vessels have been destroyed amid fears Tehran is mining the critical oil route. The White House clarifies U.S. has not escorted any oil tanker through the Strait of Hormuz after a social media post by the U.S. Energy Secretary briefly claimed such an operation before being deleted. Iran launches new attacks across the Gulf region, including drone strikes on a Saudi oil field as the International Energy Agency reportedly weighs its largest ever emergency oil reserve release to calm markets. Iran insists it is not seeking a ceasefire with US even as explosions rock Tehran, with Donald Trump stepping up warnings over the closure of the strategic Strait of Hormuz. US Central Bank President Christine Lagarde says policymakers will do everything necessary to control inflation as Iran war drives oil prices higher. Chinese shipping giant COSCO suspends operations at the Panama Canal port as tensions grow between Washington and Beijing over control of the key waterway. Elon Musk's SpaceX is leaning towards listing on the NASDAQ in what could become the largest initial public offering in history. Microsoft tells a US court the Pentagon's blacklisting of Anthropic could weaken American war fighters and undermine US leadership in artificial intelligence. And Volkswagen reports a drop in operating profit and warns 2026 will remain challenging as tariffs and fierce competition in China squeeze margins. These stories on the other side of the break. You're watching Morning Brief at 9.
झूलता उछलता है, दौड़ता कभी कभी दौड़ कराता है, आगे आगे बढ़ता है इंडिया, अमूल दूध पीता है इंडिया। इस खेल में खेला होगा, हर नहले पे दहला होगा, टीम बड़ा है, स्टेज बड़ा है, पूरा भारत साथ खड़ा है। Chuck a day football. Chuck a day football. Chuck a day football. Chuck a day football.
It's confirmed. Iran's Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei has been eliminated. But it was just not about Khamenei. It was also about the entire regime which the Americans wanted to take out.
Are the Iranians going to carry out their pledges, and are they going to continue with their attack?
The Trump had said that the waves of attack would continue. But a new signal has come that there might be a small pause.
IRGC is likely to adopt lesser radical and more pragmatic approach to basically buy time so that the regime can survive.
There is much more than what is visible or to the naked eye.
Khamenei was killed because uranium enrichment and the Iranian desire to make a bomb.
That expertise is there. People know how to enrich it. There are infrastructure which can again be rebuilt.
Iran today is headless. There is transition, but conclusion is far away.
Welcome back. US President Donald Trump has issued a stark warning to Iran over the security of the Strait of Hormuz. In a post on Truth Social, Trump warned Tehran not to place mines in the strategic shipping route, which carries a significant share of the world's oil supplies. The president said that if Iran had deployed any mines in the Strait of Hormuz, they must be removed immediately. But Trump also added that if the mines were not cleared, Iran would face military consequences at a level never seen before. Shortly afterwards, Trump posted on Truth Social that U.S. forces had struck and destroyed 10 inactive Iranian mine-laying boats. The U.S. Central Command also released video footage showing the operation against Iranian naval assets, saying American forces are working to degrade Tehran's ability to threaten international shipping and project power at sea. Now, the Strait of Hormuz remains one of the world's most critical energy choke points, and continued disruption there could have major implications for global oil supplies. Meanwhile, the U.S. White House confirmed on Tuesday that the U.S. military is now targeting Iran's missile production infrastructure. Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt told reporters that American forces are moving to dismantle Iran's missile manufacturing capability. She said U.S. B-2 bombers have recently struck deeply buried missile facilities inside Iran. According to Leavitt, the aircraft dropped 2,000-pound bombs on underground sites believed to be central to Tehran's missile program.
More than 5,000 enemy targets have been struck so far. Iran's ballistic missile attacks are down more than 90%, and their drone attacks are down by approximately 85% since the start of Operation Epic Fury. The United States is also annihilating the Iranian regime's navy, and we have destroyed more than 50 Iranian naval vessels, including a major drone carrier ship. None of the regime's vessels are operating in major regional waterways, and the Iranian Navy has been assessed as combat ineffective. Now, the U.S. military is moving to dismantle Iran's missile production infrastructure. Our incredible B-2 bombers recently dropped dozens of 2,000-pound penetrator bombs on deeply buried missile.
And Caroline Leavitt also assured Americans that oil and gas prices will drop rapidly once the U.S.-Israeli military campaign against Iran reaches its goals. Now, her comments come after oil prices, remember, touched $119.5 a barrel earlier this week, the highest level since June 2022, amid fears, of course, of supply disruptions. The White House added that U.S. naval forces have not yet escorted any commercial vessels through the Strait of Hormuz.
The president and his energy team are closely watching the markets, speaking with industry leaders, and the U.S. military is drawing up additional options following the president's directive to continue keeping the Strait of Hormuz open. I will not broadcast what those options look like, but just know the president is not afraid to use them. Rest assured to the American people, The recent increase in oil and gas prices is temporary, and this operation will result in lower gas prices in the long term. Once the national security objectives of Operation Epic Fury are fully achieved, Americans will see oil and gas prices drop rapidly, potentially even lower than they were prior to the start of the operation.
Can you explain why the Energy Secretary posted and then appeared to have deleted a post on X saying that the U.S. Navy escorted an oil tanker through the Strait of Hormuz?
Yes, I was made aware of this post. I haven't had a chance to talk to the Energy Secretary about it directly. However, I know the post was taken down pretty quickly, and I can confirm that the U.S. Navy has not escorted a tanker or a vessel at this time, though, of course, that's an option the president has said he will absolutely utilize if and when necessary at the appropriate time.
Iran's top security chief Ali Larijani issued a statement on X stating that the Strait of Hormuz will either remain a route for peace and prosperity or become a path of defeat for what he calls as warmongers. Now, the warning comes as the strategic waterway has been largely disrupted following Iranian strikes on vessels in the region. Now, those attacks come in retaliation for U.S. and Israeli military operations against Iran. Tehran has repeatedly threatened to block the narrow shipping lane if further attacks are carried out against the country. Remember, the Strait of Hormuz is one of the world's most critical energy corridors, carrying a significant share of global oil supplies. Moving on now, Germany issued a warning that the war with Iran risks spiraling into a dangerous escalation. Chancellor Friedrich Merz said on Tuesday Europe is increasingly concerned about the direction of the U.S.-Israeli military campaign against Iran. He said that while Germany shares many of the objectives behind the U.S. operation, Merz cautioned that with each passing day, more questions are emerging as the conflict deepens and the risk of further escalation only grows.
The United States and Israel have been waging war against Iran for over a week. We share many of these goals, but with each day of the war, more questions arise. We are particularly concerned that there is apparently no common plan for how to bring this war to a swift and convincing conclusion. Meanwhile, we are witnessing a dangerous escalation. Iran is indiscriminately attacking countries in the region, including close partners and allies of ours. We condemn this in the strongest possible terms.
On to corporate America now. Elon Musk's SpaceX could be heading towards what may become the biggest IPO in history. Now, sources say the U.S.-based rocket and satellite company is leaning towards listing its shares on the tech-heavy NASDAQ. If it goes ahead, the offering could rank as the largest initial public offering ever. The potential listing would mark a major milestone for the private space giant.
Elon Musk's rocket and satellite maker SpaceX is reportedly leaning toward listing its shares on the Nasdaq in what could rank as the biggest initial public offering of all time. That's according to 4 people familiar with the company's thinking. 2 of the sources said SpaceX wants early inclusion of the Nasdaq 100 index as a condition for listing on the exchange. Reuters has previously reported that SpaceX is planning an IPO as early as June. Multiple sources said the New York Stock Exchange is also competing for the listing, and neither exchange has been informed of any decision either way. The Nasdaq 100, owned by Nasdaq Inc., is seen as a premier blue-chip index by large institutional investors and serves as a barometer for the health of most of the world's biggest publicly traded names. These include mega-cap technology stocks like Nvidia, Apple and Amazon.com. The Nasdaq 100 gained about 21% last year and is slightly lower so far this year. Nasdaq proposed a new rule last month that could potentially speed up the addition of newly listed mega-cap companies to the Nasdaq 100 index, but the change could take several months to take effect.
Social media giant Meta is expanding its push into artificial intelligence. The Facebook parent has acquired Moltbook, a social networking platform designed for AI agents. The founders of the startup will soon join Meta's artificial intelligence research division to boost the company's growing ambitions in AI-driven technologies.
Facebook parent Meta Platforms on Tuesday said it acquired Moltbook, a social networking platform built for AI agents. Moltbook is a Reddit-like site where AI-powered bots appear to swap code and gossip about their human owners. It was started as a niche experiment in late January and has since become the center of a growing debate on how close computers are to possessing human-like intelligence. Meta's purchase of the platform signals how intense the AI race has become among tech giants, especially as AI agents capable of executing real-world tasks move from novelty to the industry's next frontier. OpenAI CEO Sam Altman has played down Moltbook as a likely fad, but said the underlying technology offered a glimpse of the future. The deal will bring Moltbook co-founders Matt Schlicht and Ben Parr into Meta Superintelligence Labs. Meta did not disclose financial terms of the deal.
And Germany's Volkswagen is bracing for another challenging year. Europe's largest car maker reported a slump in operating profit and warned tariffs and intense competition in China will weigh on performance. The company forecast only a modest recovery as it struggles to regain ground in its most important overseas market.
Volkswagen is in for another tough year dominated by tariffs and the battle to win back China. It comes after Europe's largest car maker reported a slump in operating profit on Tuesday and forecast only a modest recovery for its dwindling margin. Like its rivals, VW has contended with pressure across major markets, with U.S. tariffs costing the firm billions and local competition eroding its share in China, which is the world's biggest car market. The German auto group, whose subsidiaries Porsche and Audi have come under strain, expects an operating margin of between 4 and 5.5% this year. The carmaker's operating profit more than halved in the last year to $10.4 billion, missing forecasts. It was dragged down by tariffs and a costly strategic shift at Porsche. Porsche paused its transition to electric last year amid weak demand. The VW Group plans to make around 50,000 job cuts by 2030 in Germany. This includes a restructuring package at Porsche, whose operating profit disappeared almost entirely last year.
And from AI integration on messaging apps to new tools for verifying age online, it's been yet another busy week in technology. Major developments include Meta allowing rival AI systems to operate on WhatsApp for a limited period. Meanwhile, age verification technology is gaining traction as regulators push platforms to better protect younger users. Here's a roundup of the big tech stories making headlines this week. We leave you with that report.
From Meta allowing AI rivals on WhatsApp to age-checking tech maturing, this is Tech Weekly. Meta has announced that AI rivals will be allowed on WhatsApp for a year. It's aiming to stave off action from EU antitrust regulators after complaints from competitors shut out of the messaging service. After Meta blocked rivals in January, the European Commission last month threatened interim measures. Meta's now told the Commission it will let rival AI chatbots access WhatsApp for a fee. Anthropic on Monday filed a lawsuit to block the Pentagon from placing it on a national security blacklist. It's the latest move in the AI lab's high-stakes battle with the US military over usage restrictions on its technology. The Pentagon on Thursday slapped a formal supply chain risk designation on Anthropic. And the AI lab claimed in its lawsuit that the designation was unlawful and violated its free speech and due process rights. Anthropic officials said it was open to revisiting negotiations with the US government and reaching a settlement. Staying with Anthropic, Microsoft is adding the AI lab's technology to its Copilot service. It's to tap growing demand for autonomous agents. Weeks after the startup's new tools sparked a sell-off in software stocks. The tech giant on Monday unveiled Copilot Cowork, a tool based on Anthropic's viral Claude Cowork offering. Anthropic's creation has captivated Silicon Valley. That's due to its ability to handle complex tasks such as creating apps, building spreadsheets and organising large volumes of data with limited human oversight. Nvidia-backed artificial intelligence group Nscale said it has been valued at $14.6 billion. That's after raising $2 billion in its latest funding round, which it said was led by Norway's Aker and 8090 Industries. The British AI company, founded in 2024, added firms involved included Nvidia, Dell and Citadel. Sources told Reuters this funding round comes ahead of the AI group's preparations for an initial public offering. For years, tech companies resisted pressure to do more to keep children off their platforms. But a growing list of governments are now pushing for aggressive age-checking requirements for social networks and AI chatbots. Spurring them along are escalating concerns over online abuse, teen mental health, and a recent outcry over the spread of AI-generated child sexual images. Recent advancements in AI have boosted the effectiveness of age-gating tools and slashed the cost. And while